So finally we get to talk about PSYCH-K.
PSYCH-K. What's PSYCH-K?
Psych, as in psyche, the connection between mind and body and spirit. And then you got the K for key for sustainable change. So that's
Explain that. What does that
PSYCH-K.
mean?
Well, PSYCH-K is a tool for change, for inner change, which means it helps you to change anything that you do not need, like bad habits, or you might have a trauma, or you might have, a lack of self-confidence. Anything that makes you feel not complete or makes you feel not happy in your life, you can change it easily with PSYCH-K. And it sounds almost like that is like a magical wand or something like that, but it's not. It's a transformation process at the subconscious level of your mind. It's a beautiful tool to change, to accelerate transformation. That's what it is.
So how did you come across it?
Well, I guess I was looking for change. It was at a time where I still experienced a lot of drama in my life. I guess I was struggling with self-confidence. I felt like I was never good enough. I had this feeling that I was looking for something that gave me more emotional stability, something that just brought me more peace, I guess. So
Had you tried other things before that?
oh yes, I tried many things like
what?
meditation. I've been on the yoga path. I tried a lot of different modalities, or let's call it, I did energy work, and it would work for a moment, but it was never sustainable. See, so that's what I mean. So you made an effort and you feel good about yourself, and then that would be something that triggers you again, and you fall and crumble again. So it's that sort of feeling.
So what are you saying, that the PSYCH-K thing is like constantly ticking over, rather than you having to specifically focus? Let's say, for example, you're doing meditation or you're doing yoga. When you're actually practicing it, that's when your mind is kind of zoned in.
Yes.
And once you're not zoned in and you're almost forgetting it, that it's
it's
that
not
it's gone.
sustainable. Yeah, you have that. You might, when you meditate, you have a self-realization.
Yeah.
You see something. Well, I want to change this, but you do not know what is that thing that really helps me to change in terms of like for good. So it's like, and this is what PSYCH-K is. It is that tool to bring about sustainable change in your life. And what I really love about that, it is so easy and it's fast, and it is sustainable. That means
So you tried
change
some
that.
other self-help kind of stuff.
Yes, for sure.
So how did you stumble across PSYCH-K?
I guess I was like a bit of like a workshop junkie. You know what I mean? Like I tried lots of things. You did many workshops, this and that. And then there was a friend, again, he said, oh, why don't you read up about Bruce Lipton? Bruce Lipton is a professor for epigenetic, and so he talks about PSYCH-K. He's not doing, he applied it in his life,
Right.
and that's how I started to look into PSYCH-K. Then I was looking for someone in my area who did PSYCH-K. I did
Was that hard to do, actually?
To find someone who's facilitating PSYCH-K. Actually, at that time, I was traveling to Germany, and there's not many people who are doing that. So I found a lady who was actually facilitating the process, and I tried a session. And but to be honest with you, I could not quite pinpoint, because I think I do not really know what exactly I was looking for, like that I wanted to change. It was just a general sort of, like not feeling that sort of
like
peace.
an imbalance.
Yeah, like
kind
an
of thing.
imbalance thing. So it could be many things. I get triggered all the time, and as I said, I always felt like I wasn't good enough, and so it was just like an ongoing thing. So it was really hard for me to say, okay, I didn't have a huge trauma. You know what I mean? Like, so it was more like I guess like family stuff, and so after I did my first session with that lady, I felt more at peace, but again, it was not very specific. I did not address a specific problem at that time. And and it was funny enough, but I bought a lot of books about it, and I mean, just
So
in
how
general.
long ago was that? When did you first find it?
I think that when I started reading about Bruce Lipton was in 2018 or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had all these books at home, and I think that leads us to Dennis, how he actually did the course before me, because he tried. Maybe he can explain. He can tell you that story.
Yeah.
Because it's
Linda
funny.
left the book lying around, and I was going through a particularly stressful period, which I don't want to go into, but things were tough, and I was feeling very stressed. And so I was sitting over there, and there was a book open at a certain page that suggested striking this pose where you cross your left and right arm, and it's called a whole brain state. So it's kind of like if you sat in meditation for 10 days or something, you reach this state of calm. But this is kind of a quick way of doing it. So I didn't know what it was. I mean, there was a few techniques in the book. One was tapping. You tap your face, or I don't know what. And I sat there doing all this tapping, thinking, well, that doesn't help. And then I sat in that position that they suggest, which kind of opens up the bridge between your left and right brain and puts you into something called the whole brain. I got to know later what actually happened, but at the time I had no idea. I was just very stressed and didn't know what to do about it. So they did the tapping stuff, and I think there may have been another few techniques in this book. And then I did that one, which was...
Had you tried, like with Linda, other things before that, like yoga and
I've tried
meditation?
hundreds, mate. You know,
I know you're into this starvation.
That's more
kind of
recent.
thing.
That's dry fasting.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's interesting as well. I mean, we talk about it like it's some kind of out there woo-woo. What was the other word we had for
Foo-foo.
Foo-foo, woo-woo stuff. But the guy that come up with the dry fasting is actually a professor of whatever and a NASA scientist. And the problem was that most people coming back from these space missions had lots of radiation from being too close to the sun. So he came up with this starvation diet, which is an ancient way of dry fasting. So it's no food or drinks for as long as you can handle it. I did 5 days. Drove me absolutely mad. But I think, you know, it helped.
Do they kind of work in parallel to a degree, where you're not saying that all the other sort of woo-woo, foo-foo stuff is irrelevant? You can still practice meditation, you can still practice yoga, you can still practice fasting alongside PSYCH-K?
Yeah, of course, they benefit. They each, you know, everything's a benefit. And anything you try to do to make yourself a better person, or to be, you know, more conscious or more awake or more, you know, yes, they all I mean, there's some really crappy ones out there I wouldn't recommend. But yeah, anything you can do to further, and again, you know, I've lived in Bali. I'm a long-term Bali resident, you know, and I think since the 70s, you've had people here, surfers, doing yoga, vegetarian, and so it's all, you know, it's not the kind of thing you'd probably get on your local high street. But in Bali, it's everywhere, and now even more so. You know, how you have this breath work, body work, massage, whatever, all kinds of hallucinogenic drugs, you know, to take people into these states. So yes, I've tried them all, but I found PSYCH-K to be the quickest, the easiest. I did 40 Vipassanas. Vipassana, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is 10 days in silence with like one plate of rice a day.
That must have been difficult.
It's,
for somebody that likes to talk so much.
It's tough. It's tough. So yes, I had tried a lot of different ones, and I found this one, like I said, so going back to, I sat there stressed and sat in this position that it told me, and I also tried the tapping and whatever else. But then I noticed the next day a massive shift in my disposition. I was calm. Whereas up until I did that, and then I always look back and think, what did I do was different? that makes me feel differently. And I felt this incredible sense of calmness. And I thought, it can't be that easy, was it? And I thought, well, maybe it was. And I tried it again. And then, so I was aware enough, having tried lots of different multiple disciplines, to be able, maybe some people wouldn't feel the effect immediately. I thought, wow, something's different here. I'm not at the end of my tether. I'm not ready to jump down somebody's throat. I'm okay with that. Whereas I wasn't before. So I look back and I think, well, it wasn't the tapping.
Clearly, no. No.
Well, I don't know how I knew that, but I somehow thought, how can it be that simple? And it was. So the next thing you know, I asked Linda about it. Where'd you get this book? What's it all about? And she said, we started talking about PSYCH-K, Bruce Lipton, blah, blah, blah.
Is there like a book, like a PSYCH-K for Dummies book? Do you know what I mean?
Rob Williams, the originator, he wrote a book. It's called "The Missing Piece in Your Life."
Okay.
So peace in terms of the piece, missing piece, and also peace, P-E-A-C-E. So he is the originator. He originated that 30 odd years ago, and that's the only. I mean, that is the main book about.
So you'd recommend that people read that to get a
sure
a grounding
absolutely.
and understanding of the whole concept.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's he introduces PSYCH-K as a experiential. So he's kind of encouraging you to experience PSYCH-K rather than just explaining what it is,
right.
Because it is something that you really have to apply to feel the benefit. So it's not this sort of
explain
realization.
That to me when you say apply, because I saw you earlier on with Dennis. You were doing something that was PSYCH-K related.
Yes.
Is that what you mean by applying it? You've actually got to have a real life situation that you need to deal with, and you need to deal with it right now.
Exactly. It's not just a realization process. I mean, you need to kind of understand, or you have to recognize what you want to change first.
Right.
But it's not focusing on the why and how you got there where you are at. It's about where do you want to go. And
right.
that makes PSYCH-K so practical. We always ask the questions. So, for example, you have some issue, like whatever, something you'd like to change, and you look at it, you want to change it, rather than saying, why am I like that? Why how did that, how did that happen in my life? You just change, okay, what do I want instead? Where do I want to go? And this is what we can change. So it's basically like programming your mind at the subconscious level. So we are reprogramming limiting beliefs at the subconscious level of the mind. That's what it's all about. And you can also transform stressful perceptions. So whenever you have a feeling, you don't know even what it is, you can transform that feeling of stress. So you have two options, either like a belief that you have, or a feeling of stress.
And this is not an intellectual exercise. Conscious processing of information is not enough to change your subconscious beliefs around it. So it's not this aha moment, oh, that's why I'm wrong, so if I did this, then this will help. That doesn't change, that doesn't go deep enough. So this actually goes in and shifts it at a subconscious level. And then suddenly that limiting subconscious belief that you had about a situation or that person is not there anymore.
Is it like a sort of a wham moment, or is it something that builds, that kind of...
Can be both. I mean, if it's a massive trauma, those are usually the easiest things to work with, because this person knows exactly what went wrong, when it went wrong, how it went wrong, and what would be better. So I've had amazing results with people who have been, and myself, traumatized for God knows how long. I mean, I think it's a good time to talk about cats. People talk about psychosomatic disorders. Is it in your brain? Is it an allergy? Is it physical? Are you making it up? Are you faking it? Is this an excuse to cover something else up? So I think the cats one was a beautiful example. We were doing the course in Dubai, and the head guy, Duccio, from Italy, who's a really funny guy. He's a chiropractor, osteopath. And he said, right, anyone? And I thought, I've managed to avoid it so far. Got any allergies? And I was like, he said, what? Cats, right?
You're not allergic to cats, are you?
Horribly.
Oh, really?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Come on, stop giving away the secret. So So I'm now 64 and a half, right? So we did this sort of balancing thing. He said, oh, is it the cat, or is it a memory, or is it this? Next thing you know, I'm back to 3 years old when I lost a pet. And somehow there was a connection between the two. So remember, I've had this trauma now for 62 years. As soon as I see a cat, tears, itchy nose, scratching, sneezing, can't sleep, itchy eyes like you wouldn't believe. I mean, very physical, not psychosomatic, not in my head. This is a real proof that this is an issue. So we did this little balance with him in front of all these people. Realized it was a little bit of a trauma when I was 3, when my dog died. I don't know what that's got to do with the cat. But we balanced around that situation. And since then, I am not allergic to cats. So talk about magic, talk about clairvoyance, talk about telepathy, talk about morphogenic fields, talk about Rupert Sheldrake. Who knows how information is... So this is what amazes me about PSYCH-K, that there's so many instances of this, that it's beyond our belief structure. Well, that can't be ever happened. So that's
and you guys run courses on this, right?
Yes. We do private sessions, which would be the good place to start. So we have an office, and we invite people to come. The session takes about 90 minutes, costs around 2 million rupees. And
it's called Mind Tuning Bali. You created that during the time of COVID, because that was the time when obviously a lot of people experienced a lot of stress. So we were balancing so many people around.
Oh, really?
Even over the phone, over Zoom, family.
Oh, you can
friends.
do it over the phone?
Yes, absolutely. So you do not need to do it in person. You can do it over the phone or online. So that's when we created Mind Tuning Bali, because we thought that we need to share this tool with as many people as possible, and also inspire them to learn that themselves, so they can actually apply that and use it for themselves and also with others, because we realize that with this tool you can actually make an impact. You can bring more peace and to individuals and to the whole world, basically. And that was really became so clear during COVID, because obviously there was a lot of things going on, and there was a lot of disruption and chaos, and that's how we decided we want to create something to share that, and we thought Bali is a great place for that, because everybody here is looking for healing, right?
Sure.
And that's how we started it.
Sure.
And now apart from offering the privates, we also organizing PSYCH-K workshops where you can learn this wonderful tool. And we do have another workshop coming up this November. I think it's 15th to 17th of November. And then next year we're going to have 3 workshops in April. So
you just finished a couple of workshops.
Yeah, we just finished 3 workshops. That was April, March, end of March to April, and it was just beautiful, and it was and it's
do you get
to do more.
Not necessarily immediate effects, even though it could be immediate effects from the guys that go to these workshops, like they experience these aha moments. Did you get any of that?
You get that on the first day.
Really?
That's so incredible. Okay. Let just to make that clear, in a basic workshop, which it just takes like 3 days. On the first day, you starting yourself. You're doing it. You learn it, and you start transforming yourself from the first day on. So you're doing. You might get rid of huge traumas. You might just whatever you need where you're at in your life. You're going to start transforming, and that is the path. Some people just need this and that, they just only need a few things and they think they're happy. But it is an evolution. It's an evolution. It's a tool for evolution. So you can use it every day for small things, for big things. It's just like I balance every day. I use PSYCH-K every day. Yes, absolutely.
Do you think people come to these sessions with an expectation of maybe leaving as a different, renewed kind of person, or were you really working with a blank piece of paper?
I think people come because they have the hope that something will help them, because they're coming they're seeking for help. Most people who come to see us, they have issues. Whether it's like, personal things or finances or health or, you name it, anything in your life pretty much. And they probably tried a lot of things too, like we've done in the past, and they try this. You say, okay, I give it a shot. I have hope that this might help. And usually it's not that, they do not expect that something like this can happen within such a short time. I've never seen anybody who wasn't surprised.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. So these shifts happen so quickly, and some people come back for more, and some people are just okay, I'm done now. So I just
So
get
you're
on
saying
with my
that
life.
people use it for lots of different things?
Yeah.
I mean, like finances, health, personal issues.
Absolutely, yes.
Is there anything that it
Self-worth.
can't deal with?
There's nothing that it can't deal with, pretty much. So because we're talking about supporting it being whole-brained, meaning you using both sides of your brain. There's a left and right brain dominance, right? So
Well, so I've heard.
yeah.
I'm not
so
sure.
usually
I'm not sure which one mine
yeah,
is.
one is a more
You'll be left
creative. Yeah.
It'll be left
Oh,
brain.
sorry, he'd be right brain. No, he'd be left
You're more
brain.
creative. You're the right brain, intuitive, and person, and whereas the left brain persons are more logical. They're more
Right.
analytic, but if you use both sides of the brain, then that's what we call you being whole-brained.
So you're
Because
saying that
you're
most
using your full
people use
potential.
one or the other,
Mostly,
rather than
yes.
having that balance between the two.
And particularly depending how, in terms of like how they experience the world, because within the age of when you're born until you're 7, you're basically downloading all your beliefs about, it's your so-called core beliefs, how you believe the world is. Like I give you an example, you could believe the world is is a friendly place. If you believe that, then you will have these experiences. Whereas if you believe, wow, this world is dangerous and unfair,
Then that's what you're going to
then
attract.
this is
You'll manifest that.
you will manifest it, because it's actually like a program in your subconscious mind, and you're not choosing these programs; they're being given to you. It just happens. It's not like because within that period you are in a so-called theta state, which is it's kind of you being like a sponge. You just like getting in all this
In that
information
1 to
without,
7
yes,
year
exactly.
period.
So there's no
Less
filter.
than one. I mean, in the womb, in the last
the womb
trimester
already. Yes.
of womb, you're already picking up all these signals from your parents, from those
Right.
around you. So it starts even before you're born. Yeah.
Yeah, so and then you get some programs might be beneficial, but some might not serve you anymore as you grow older. So, and this is what we talk about. This is what we're dealing with: limiting beliefs at the subconscious level. That's where they're coming from.
And those limiting beliefs are coming from
these programs that have been downloaded
Right.
within an early age.
Yeah, not
and,
from your own experience, but maybe someone, you get influenced by your parents, by their beliefs, by their parents, by the environment. So if you're told this is bad or this is dangerous or this is not good, that's not your perspective. That was the perspective of someone else. But we take that on as a means of survival, So
right.
Yeah, and it's not really that, at that time it might have helped you to survive, but, but you hear a voice, like, for instance, where do these voices come from? Like, oh, you're not good enough, or you can't do that. Chances are there's something happening in your environment. It's not that the parents do that intentionally, obviously. It just happens. It's just like a snapshot. And it's kind of, it's just downloaded.
Like
it's
a program, I
It's
guess,
like a
that
program.
clicks in, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I think a good example is poverty thinking,
Very
I
good
think it's
example.
Robert Kiyosaki wrote that book, Rich
Rich
Dad,
Man,
Poor
Poor.
Dad.
Yeah.
Right? And what he's saying is basically if your dad was poor and his dad was poor, the chances are, even if you're successful, even if you know how to make money, you'll end up poor because something in your subconscious is not deserving, doesn't allow
Right.
whereas if your dad was rich and his dad was rich, even if you're a complete idiot, the chances are you'll be rich too because you believe money is an energy that comes at you easily. So you manifest that destiny by yourself. So it's all about beliefs.
Yeah.
And these limiting subconscious beliefs about stuff that will then taint your judgment or your decision at that moment on whether this is good or bad, right or wrong, instead of just accepting it, you know? So, and most people don't know their limiting subconscious beliefs. That's the thing. We don't know until so we have a method which we use, which is called muscle testing, to see if you believe it or whether you don't believe it. So this is how we...
Well, can you not kind of, bluff your way through that a little bit? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
there's always, in any kind of medical work, in anything, you can, or any kind of data collection, you can fudge results, yeah? But when you do this and you realize how honest and how blatantly helpful and people have tried to fudge it. I know people, I've tried to fudge it. No, I believe that. But in the end, the truth comes out, and you either believe it or you don't. And you find out that, people like to think, I believe that. I'm good at that. And then suddenly the subconscious tells you different. So that's what the most amazing thing about this technique is. It's a quick and easy way to communicate with your subconscious mind. All the other ways kind of difficult, take long, stab in the dark, bit of hypnosis, you're feeling sleepy, you're feeling tired, and what comes up. And this is direct, this is straight to the issue. What do you not like? What do you like? What do you believe? How would it be otherwise? So it's really...
It's very specific, It's not like, because like Dennis said, nothing, it's not like other methodologies don't work, for sure, but what, like Dennis said, the beauty is that it's so, you can really pinpoint, it's so precise. Right. It's like a laser, it's laser sharp. I think that's the thing that makes it so different to other techniques. And it's very practical. It's very powerful.
So let's say somebody finishes one of your courses and one of your sessions, and they kind of they like the taste of what it is that you're delivering. Is it something that they can do on their own afterwards, or do they need to keep coming back to you guys?
I'm not sure what you mean. If they do a session...
Yeah, so I come to one of your sessions.
A private session, you mean?
A private
not a
session
course.
or a course.
They're two different things. If you come for a session, I'm not teaching you the technique. I'm not a teacher.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
a facilitator.
Oh, so the course is actually showing me how to be a facilitator.
Yes. How to facilitate for yourself.
I see.
So if you come and see us as like the first taster, and maybe that's all some people need, just to come once, and this massive trauma that they had is no longer there. They're like, it's the new normal.
If it was just a session, it was just one-on-one.
One-on-one. It's always one-on-one. It's always about an hour and a half.
And you can kind of fix me, if you like, with something.
Yeah.
Can I then, on my own, do it on myself?
After a session, no. After a course, yes. The course is of 3 days.
Okay.
After a 3-day basic course, you have now learned that technique where you can do it on your own, yourself. Yeah. So
and
you don't
can
need
share
me
with
anymore.
others as well.
Do you guys do it on your own? So excuse the personal question, but do you do it on your own?
Balance, using it? Yeah, all the time. All the time. It's the first thing I do in the morning. And
is it really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So because what it does is this thing, you wake up in the morning and you have this sort of, maybe you had a bad dream or you didn't, you have this funny feeling and you don't know why. It's just one of these days, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, before I used to kind of start thinking, because you usually want to attach that bad feeling with something, with a thought, so you explain that feeling. So that gets you into this sort of vicious circle about and it's overthinking. And so with PSYCH-K, you might have like this feeling, doesn't feel comfortable, you do a balance, that feeling is gone, done. And it's like a reset, and then you just start the day. And that's the beauty of it.
Right.
So it's a very practical thing to do, yeah.
Right.
And it only takes like 3 minutes. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can balance around any situation. So if you feel a bit iffy about what's about to occur, a meeting, a business deal, whatever, even going to the gym, whatever, you don't feel like it, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to the gym. You do a quick balance, you become whole-brained about that, because usually it's stuck in one side of your head. It hasn't processed through the brain bridge. So it's a very useful tool to have. And yes, it's
So what would you say then? The trick is, if you want to call it that.
it feels like a trick.
I
It's
don't.
not.
I don't want to kind of put that kind of woo-woo aspect to it, but like,
No, but absolutely feels
the-
like a magic trick.
Yeah.
is it? Does it?
Yeah, of course.
But
I
I
mean,
mean-
one
but I
minute
mean,
you
like-
don't want to do something, next minute you do. That's
Yeah.
like a magic trick. But again, it's brain science. You know, it can be explained. It's not a magic.
But is it
it's-
connected then about trying to find this whole brain space all the time?
There's a few. I mean, the deeper you dive into it, there's a lot of different balances, and a lot you can go a lot further with it. But the simple one, the two basic ones are probably all you need. Which is one is called the whole brain state, and there's another one, a different type of balance. But yeah, they both work in the same way. Yeah,
Okay.
to put you into a whole brain state, to make you able to make the best choice for yourself at that time. Yeah, because otherwise we overthink it, and the conscious mind is only like 10% of what's going on. The subconscious mind is in control 90% of the time. So that's the one you want
that's
to change.
I've done some reading around this too, man, for a number of years, and that's something that even now I can't quite get my head around. Is this idea of conscious and subconscious and what it actually means, Because for me, everything is, I'm conscious of it, everything. Do you know what I mean? So finding subconscious in there,
Sub is below.
I
Below
can't-
consciousness.
I kind of read the words and I kind of understand it. I'm just trying to feel it, and I'm not sure.
You mean what subconscious mind means?
Yeah. Well,
I'll give you an example.
okay.
So for instance, you're trying to use willpower, right? So you're going to say, I'm not going to eat tonight. I'm not going to go to the fridge. I'm
Right.
not going to go to the fridge. What the next thing happens? You're going to go to the fridge, right?
Right.
It's like, so that's your subconscious. Your conscious mind doesn't want to eat, and your subconscious mind is going to the fridge. Why? Because the subconscious mind works 95% of the time, whereas your conscious mind is active 5%. So that's why
Because you would have thought it was the other way around.
Sorry?
You would have thought it's the other way around.
Yeah, but
That
funny
because
enough,
you're doing something,
but
it's
think
conscious.
But think about it as well. I mean, your subconscious mind is responsible for all your body functions. And when you're riding a car, you have a conversation, but who's riding the car? It's your subconscious mind, right?
Right.
So
I
think
have a
about-
good example of
Right.
that, right? So you're in the car with someone else and you have this really deep conversation for about 40 minutes about whatever, something meaningful, something deep, and then you drop that person off and you take off. You remember everything about that conversation. You can't remember anything about the journey.
Yeah.
That's your subconscious was driving.
Right. Interesting.
So once something's become, you have to learn to do it. You have to learn to play the piano. Once you've learned to play it, the
It's
subconscious
like
takes
automatic.
over. It becomes the automatic self.
Yeah, your subconscious is the
Automatic
habit
programs.
mind. It's
Right.
like if you speak in terms of like a computer, it is million. It can process millions of more bit. Is it bit or yeah?
Bits of information.
Yeah. Bit. Then your conscious mind. So it's a way bigger processor in that sense. So that's why if your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are not aligned, then you kind of always have this internal battle with yourself, right? Whereas if you would, give yourself the right supportive program, then you use your full potential.
So
that's
your
what it's
wants
about.
and your needs and your wishes are conscious, right? So I want to be rich, I want to be strong, I want a girlfriend, I want a big house, I want a big car. This is your conscious mind, the creative mind. Okay, I want this, that, and that. But if your subconscious is poverty thinking, non-achieving,
That you're not necessarily aware
you're
of.
totally unaware of it.
Right.
This is why we do this
Right.
digging to find out, do I believe I can do this or not? So if your subconscious belief doesn't support your conscious wants and needs, then there's a cross wire there and it never happens. That's why you end up going around in circles and going back to the same place again, because your subconscious is going, it's not going to happen. Nah, it doesn't. So consciously you're like, okay, I'm going to make a success of this. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to do something. And your subconscious is going, no, you won't. No, that's not how it happens. No, you're never going to have money. You're never going to be rich. You're never going to be successful. We don't know that until we muscle test for it. Once we muscle test, we find out. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think a good indication is your self-talk, right? Everybody knows that self-talk. This is a good starting point, because like what Dennis said. Oh no, that's not going to happen. So when you pay attention to these little voices in your head, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and this. Oh, who do you think you are? You think like stuff like that. So you listen to that. That's your limiting beliefs at the subconscious level. So you start off with that. You just take that.
So you're saying then that voice in your head is subconscious speaking?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if that voice is not cheering you, that means you're struggling against yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to be the fastest runner. And it's like, and then you have that voice, there's no way you're going to be the fastest runner for this and this and this, right? That reason. So this is what you're looking at. And then you create what do you want instead? You ask yourself the questions, what do I want instead? How do I want it to be? And then do a balance, and and then we program a
so
new belief that is supportive.
You've said that a few times, the idea of balance. When you do a balance, you actually call that, what you were doing earlier on, that was a balance,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
That actually is balancing left and right, conscious, subconscious. That's what it means.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And can I give an example? This seems like a good time to give an example of limiting subconscious beliefs. Me personally, growing up, I was pretty smart at school. I was able to pass exams. I was pretty clever, I guess. But I was kind of clumsy and not very good with my hands. So I always thought, growing up, I'll go to university, I'll get a degree, and I'll work in it wherever. I won't need my hands anyway. It doesn't matter, because, again, we're kind of indoctrinated with, try and be clever and get a good job. So I was clumsy, and I guess at some point I used to break things, I guess, and, probably got slapped round the head a couple of times. Put that back, you're stupid, don't talk. So, and again, even with sports and stuff, so I wasn't very coordinated. And again, manifest that. So whenever I picked something up, I tended to break it or smash it up until, quite recently. And people would say, put that back, put that down, or you've got 2 left feet. And I would manifest this. And so I did a balance around being good with my hands. I said, because I could never fix a plug or wire a plug or change a tire or anything, because everybody put that. And I had this belief that I was stupid and I wasn't able to do that. So I did this balance that I am good with my hands. Since then, I spend almost all day, every day in the kitchen cooking. Now, I had never cooked an egg in my life, right? That's just unimaginable. Scottish working class male, they don't cook. That's what girls do. So I was never believed. I love it now. And I'm in the kitchen all day, every day, just whatever it is, chopping shit up, getting my little pinny on, and doing stuff with my hands, which I found a love for. And I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be than stand in the kitchen with my little pinny on, my 2 little doggies running around my feet. But I'm happy to be busy, to be mindful, to be involved. Whereas all these, maybe I could have been an engineer. Maybe I could have been something else, but this belief about myself that you can't, I don't know where it came from, but because it was subconscious. So there, another one, cats, 62-year-old thing, not good with. So how many, these are the limiting subconscious beliefs that don't allow me to step into what I could be. And this is what's beautiful about this, that we can share this with other people. When they think they're particularly shit at something, we balance and suddenly they're not. So it's not about your aptitude to it, it's about your belief around that.
Right.
And how it helps with sickness. For example, my friend was diagnosed with whatever cancer it was, really bad, in a bad way, came back from his chemotherapy stuff, addicted to, what's that substitute heroin they give them now? Oxycontin. So he looked like death warmed up. He didn't look too good. So he came back from those treatments. His wife was there, his wife's crying, his kid's there. And it's all about beliefs. So he didn't believe he was getting better. And I'm sure in the state he was, that I'm not surprised. We balanced around that, and he got a lot better. He's now, I'm not saying he's almost back, and I'm not saying I cured his cancer, but we changed his belief around getting better, because from his experience in the medical world, where the doctors are kind of harsh, and you probably got this long to live, and if we give you this, that, whatever, full of fear, and addicted to heroin, basically. So I got him off of that, and then we balanced around his illness, changed his belief about being sick. No, he's still... So yes, the limiting subconscious belief, we don't know what they are.
Yeah, and I think a great example, just to stress that, like the so-called placebo effect, that is beliefs, right? If you believe you're gonna get that your body can heal yourself, then this will happen, because that's how powerful it is. And there's a lot of studies about that.